As the ability to focus becomes more rare, its value increases, quietly but steadily. This is one of the most important shifts happening in modern professional life, and it often goes unnoticed. When most people are distracted, focused work stands out automatically. It does not need to be flashy. It does not need constant promotion. Quality speaks for itself, especially over time. This is why depth functions like a multiplier. It does not just improve performance slightly, it changes the trajectory of a career. Skills grow faster, reputation strengthens, opportunities appear more naturally. Yet many people underestimate this effect because they judge progress in short time frames. They compare days or weeks instead of years. In the short term, shallow activity feels productive. In the long term, it produces very little. Deep focus, by contrast, often feels slow at first. Results may not be immediately visible, but beneath the surface, foundations are being built. Knowledge is being organized. Skills are being reinforced. Capacity is expanding. Over time, this hidden progress becomes visible and then undeniable. There is also an emotional dimension to deep work that is often overlooked. Focused effort brings meaning. When attention is fully invested, work stops feeling like noise and starts feeling like purpose. Distraction fragments not just productivity, but identity. When the mind is constantly pulled in different directions, it becomes difficult to feel ownership over one's work. Everything feels temporary. Nothing feels finished. Depth restores this sense of ownership. It allows people to point to something concrete and say, "I built that." This is deeply satisfying on a psychological level. This satisfaction is not about external validation. It comes from alignment between effort and outcome. The mind recognizes when it has been fully engaged, and it rewards that engagement with a sense of accomplishment. This is why people who practice deep focus often report higher levels of fulfillment even when their work is demanding. Difficulty, when paired with progress, is energizing rather than draining. By contrast, shallow busyness exhausts without rewarding. It consumes energy without creating meaning. Another important aspect of deep focus is resilience. In uncertain environments, those who rely on constant external signals struggle. They need feedback, reassurance, and stimulation to stay motivated. Focused individuals develop internal momentum. They are less dependent on immediate responses or external validation. Progress itself becomes motivating. This makes them more adaptable. When circumstances change, they can reorient quickly because they are grounded in skill and understanding, not just activity. Depth also protects against burnout. While it may seem counterintuitive, working with focus is often less draining than working with distraction. Fragmentation forces the brain to constantly reorient, which is mentally exhausting. Focused work, even when intense, allows the mind to stay in one mode. This reduces cognitive friction and preserves energy. Of course, this does not mean working non-stop. True depth includes rest. Recovery is essential. The brain needs downtime to consolidate learning and restore attention. People who understand this do not glorify exhaustion. They respect limits. They work intensely, then disengage fully. This rhythm sustains high performance over long periods. In contrast, constant partial attention creates chronic fatigue. The mind never fully works and never fully rests. The ability to focus deeply, then rest deeply, creates balance. It aligns effort with biology. As society becomes more distracted, this balance becomes increasingly rare, but rarity creates value. Those who cultivate depth are not competing with the majority. They are operating in a different category altogether. They are building assets that compound over time: expertise, insight, and trust. This is why deep focus is not just a productivity technique, it is a strategic choice. It determines how skills develop, how work is experienced, and how value is created. It shapes not just what people produce, but who they become. And this is only the foundation. Before any techniques or systems are introduced, this mindset must be clear. Attention is not infinite, distraction is not harmless, and focus is not optional for meaningful work. It is the difference between reacting to the world and shaping it.
When people first attempt to work with real focus, they often encounter an unexpected resistance. It's not just external noise, it's internal. The mind, conditioned by years of constant stimulation, struggles to remain still. Thoughts wander, impulses arise. The urge to check, refresh, or switch tasks appears almost automatically. This is not a flaw in character, it is a trained response. For years, attention has been rewarded for being reactive. Every notification has taught the brain that interruption equals importance. Over time, this creates a habit loop. Distraction stops feeling disruptive and starts feeling normal. Breaking this loop feels uncomfortable because it goes against conditioning. At first, focused work feels slow. Time stretches, progress feels uncertain. Without constant feedback, the mind looks for reassurance. This is often the moment people conclude that focus isn't working and return to shallow activity. In reality, this discomfort is a sign of transition. The brain is recalibrating. It is relearning how to stay with a single stream of thought. This process is similar to physical training. Muscles feel weak before they grow stronger. Endurance improves only after strain. Attention works the same way. Those who push through this early resistance often experience a shift. Focus becomes easier. Thoughts settle more quickly. The mind enters depth faster. What once required effort becomes natural. This is why deep work should be viewed as practice, not performance. The goal is not perfection. The goal is consistency. Even imperfect focus practiced regularly strengthens attention over time. Avoiding distraction entirely is unrealistic. Reducing it intentionally is powerful. Another important realization follows soon after. Not all work deserves the same level of attention. Many tasks are necessary but low value. They support work but do not create it. When these tasks are allowed to dominate the day, focus disappears. People who protect depth learn to distinguish between what drives progress and what merely maintains motion. They do not eliminate shallow tasks, they contain them. This containment is critical. Without limits, shallow work expands endlessly. There is always another message to answer, another update to review, another small request to handle. Depth survives only when boundaries exist. This is where intention becomes visible. Focused individuals decide what deserves their best energy. They allocate time accordingly. They do not wait for permission to think deeply. This decision often feels countercultural. It may conflict with expectations of constant availability, but over time, results speak louder than responsiveness. Quality earns trust. Trust buys autonomy. Autonomy protects focus. This progression is subtle but powerful. It also changes how people experience time. Distracted days blur together. Focused days stand out. They feel longer, richer, more complete. This is because memory favors depth. The mind remembers effort, not reaction. It remembers creation, not consumption. As depth increases, work becomes less about survival and more about expression. People stop asking, "What do I need to respond to next?" and start asking, "What am I trying to build?" This shift is transformative. It reframes work from obligation to craft. It restores agency. It replaces noise with direction. And once this perspective takes hold, distraction becomes easier to recognize for what it is, not an enemy, but a trade-off. Every distraction is a choice, whether conscious or not. It is a decision to exchange depth for immediacy,
progress for comfort, meaning for motion. Recognizing this does not require rejecting the modern world. It requires navigating it deliberately. Focus is not about escaping reality. It is about engaging with it fully. And from this point forward, the conversation changes. It is no longer about whether deep focus matters. It is about how to build a life where it can exist consistently. That is where things become practical. That is where systems replace intention. And that is where depth stops being an idea and becomes a habit.